What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're diving in with a preview of some of the major changes coming in Season 19 of Destiny 2. As always, Bungie have been outlining lots of gameplay adjustments in the past few weeks. These affect rewards in the game, as well as Sandbox, where we've learned of lots of weapon changes for legendaries and exotics. But we also have reworks for vendors and the material economy, as well as teasers for new armor sets, endgame content, and a bunch of other items which we'll break down in the video. Before we get going though, today's video is sponsored by the ultimate form of online protection against DDoS attacks, hackers, phishing, and more, and it's our friends at NordVPN. Protecting our privacy and data online is important these days, not least because we spend a lot of time gaming, shopping, and using public networks with our mobile devices. NordVPN can protect all of our devices and networks by creating a virtual location that can be set up in more than 59 different places globally, and this helps to protect our network, including stopping DDoS attacks from disrupting our connections when gaming. But it can also be used to avoid geographical restrictions on various content. Plus, there's even more. NordVPN has the ultimate suite of bonus threat protection features available across our devices to defend against harmful websites, trackers, and infected files. So be sure to check out NordVPN today, and if you head to nordvpn.com/houndish and use code Houndish at checkout right now, you'll get 4 bonus months for free when you choose any plan. So I 100% recommend that you guys check Nord out, and the details for that are down below. The first things to note here related to content in Season 19, but in this sort of roadmap of endgame activities that Bungie have, Season 19 is due to see a new dungeon. So much like Duality was the featured endgame activity for Season 17, we've got Kingsfall, a raid in Season 18, and so the second new dungeon of the year will drop next season. I'd love to get any speculation about content theme for the season, or indeed the dungeon, down in the comments section. Let us know what you guys think. But another thing related to content in Season 19, from Joe Blackburn at Bungie. He spoke about the lack of Arc Eververse armor sets this season. Typically with the subclass reworks throughout the year, we've seen an associated element set available in Eververse. But the plan is for the Arc armor to drop in Season 19. And so that'll be a new Eververse set for the season, and Joe Blackburn said we're excited to see players' reactions to armor ornaments, and hope to offer an even bigger selection of ornaments and unique fantasies in future seasons. So it'll be cool to see those when they drop. And the next thing related to loot teases right here, but weapon designers in a recent TWAB teased that Season 19 will see a solar exotic weapon. Obviously the name is redacted there, and that's in addition to a Season 19 kinetic exotic weapon as well. It'll be interesting to see how those are distributed. It's pretty likely that one of them will come from this season pass. But with raids and dungeons being the focus for the endgame activities, there's certainly been a hunger over the past few seasons for us to see some proper exotic quest stuff again. It'd be awesome if that happens, but nonetheless, at least 2 exotic weapons coming in Season 19, one of them solar and another kinetic. Plus, the developers teased that they are building anti-champion functionality into one of those exotic weapons in Season 19. But of course, which of them will be remains a mystery. Let us know what you'd love to see from exotics in the upcoming season below. And here, let's get on to Sandbox stuff a little bit more. Bungie have outlined that they're updating 20 exotic weapons with both buffs and nerfs in Season 19. And they outline that the extent of the changes varies quite a bit, from substantial reworks like Lord of Wolves to smaller but still impactful changes, and they tease that Legend of Acreus will see some kind of update as well. Definitely a super fun weapon, I'd love to use it more often. In that same conversation, Mercules had indicated that glaive hit registration issues are caused by the non-hit scan nature of the weapons. And he said internally, they have a fix for registration issues on glaives, but the goal is to get that fix into the live game in Season 19. So we may see some additional updates to glaives there. Bungie had also said that they were hoping to allow glaive interactions with some exotic armors that buff melees. And there are other loose goals like reworking some enhanced perks, some potential minor adjustments to pulse rifles, and of course introducing the full auto setting. And so when we want weapons to fire full auto instead of relying on a mod, there will be a setting in the game that basically makes all of them full auto. But Bungie have outlined that they plan to keep the full auto trigger system mod, so that if players don't want full auto enabled on everything, they still have the option to apply the mod to particular weapons. Because that setting's becoming universal, they also plan to update some weapons that have full auto built into them, including Traveler's Chosen, where they've replaced full auto trigger system in the Catalyst with the perk Surplus. For Vigilance Wing, full auto is being replaced with Ensemble, and No Time to Explain will see full auto replaced with Feeding Frenzy, which is going to be pretty good. And so obviously adding that setting to the game will affect a few different weapons, so we'll see that compensated for in a few areas. In terms of updating perks on weapons, Bungie have stated that in Season 19, we'll start to see a small number of non-raid weapons get access to perks from older raids. And a couple of examples that spring to mind immediately for me are weapons from Deepstone Crypt. They had some really unique perks like Reconstruction, where the weapon slowly reloads itself over time, up to double its capacity. And these perks have only ever rolled on those weapons because they didn't have origin traits at the time. Then there's Redirection, and damaging rank and file combatants increases damage against more powerful ones. Of course, there are a handful of other perks that have been linked only to raids. These are just examples, they're not guaranteed to be added to other weapons, but it's certainly a way that Bungie can expand perk pools for certain weapons fairly easily. And the final thing that we know is specifically going to happen with weapons next season is an adjustment to Divinity. Bungie points out that it's been incredibly dominant in endgame PvP, and the fact that it's stronger than things like Tether and Tractor Cannon overall. And they say following testing a variety of changes in Season 19, they've landed on reducing Divinity's weaken from 30% to 15%. And so I'm sure it's still going to be a very viable option, but naturally there's been a lot of mixed feedback about that change coming into the game. So feel free to share your thoughts down below. Up next though, let's touch on another set of changes which Bungie have revealed for Season 19, and these relate to materials in the game. And so immediately, starting in Season 19, players will no longer be able to obtain various planetary materials, and that includes things like Dusklight shards, helium filaments, and spin metal leaves. And so they'll no longer drop, but any current stacks of those materials won't be removed from our inventories, and instead Master Raoul will exchange 5,000 glimmer for a stack of 20 destination materials, which will become the only use for them moving forward. And of course, once we've spent all of those, it's going to open up quite a bit of inventory space. But that does spell changes for other parts of the economy, including some vendors. And from Season 19, Master Raoul will be able to exchange Dark Fragments, Phantasmal Fragments, and Herowace pieces for Glimmer. And where there are destination material costs on vendors, they'll be replaced with Legendary Shards instead. That includes stuff like Enhancement Prisms and Ascendant Shards. And Bungie have also said that for things like Legacy Exotics in the Monument to Lost Lights, that the destination material cost will also be replaced with Legendary Shards. And then because we'll be relying on Glimmer a little more, Bungie have said they'll be updating public events. And so now when we complete heroic public events, we'll be able to earn between 10,000 and 12,000 Glimmer, and completing normal public events will expect us to earn between 3,500 and 4,500 Glimmer. And finally, a couple of world vendors will be updated, including Devrim K and Failsafe. They're basically removing the rank requirements from those vendors to purchase armor, and we'll be able to pick up some of their unique items like emblems and ghost shells with legendary shards instead. But they'll also be removing the sale of sunset weapons from both of the vendors when the season goes live. And so a few economic changes to get our heads around right there, and I'm sure Bungie will give us additional details on things to take note of. But give us any of your thoughts on those economy changes down in the comment section. Now though, a few things related to PvP very quickly. And for Season 19, Bungie have said, in the Iron Banner, we're going to see yet another iteration of a classic game mode. It won't be Control, Rift, or Eruption as far as we know, but they say expect a familiar mode with a unique experience in Season 19. That means it looks like Iron Banner will continue to get some variation on game modes season over season. And for standard Crucible playlists in the wider sense, Bungie say they plan on making continued adjustments to skill-based matchmaking in Season 19. In the long term, they're hoping to introduce some technology that allows them to search for a wider skill variance based on your position in the skill curve, the idea being that matchmaking times stay consistent. In Season 19 specifically, they'll be implementing a form of fireteam-sized preferred matchmaking, and the goal is for it to be utilised like skill. And overall, they're hoping that it will reduce the amount of times players end up playing against 6 stacks when they're solo, generally improving the team balance aspect of matchmaking going forward. So that'll be interesting, and we'll see how effective it is. And for now guys, ahead of Season 19 in a few weeks' time, those are the things that Bungie have given us details on so far, but once again, we're going to get a lot of info about content, theme, rewards, and of course more sandbox and game adjustments that they'll be bringing out at the start of that season. So definitely get subscribed here on the channel, as we'll have a lot of stuff to cover between now and then, as well as Season 19 and eventually Lightfall. So be sure to turn on notifications so I can keep you up to date with all of that info coming down the road. But if you've enjoyed the video today, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. But otherwise, I appreciate you all tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.